So at this stage, you guys are working into your illustrated portrait. So you're using Adobe Illustrator. There's a couple of things that are super important. First of all, if you don't have your layers showing, you need to have your layers showing. Putting things on their own layers and in their own areas can make them a little bit more editable for you, especially as you're working into things like when you're working with your mesh tool, etc. So the other thing that I've noticed when people are saving theirs, I would highly suggest you go to Save As. Make sure that it is in .ai, Adobe Illustrated file. Some people are getting some of the SVG files or SVGZ, which is a compressed file. Please stay away from those. You want to triple check every single time that you're saving it correctly, but most importantly, the very first time that you set up this document, you want to make sure that you get it, okay? Now, when you come in the next day after working, go into File, Open Recent. It should be the most, the topmost document here at number 1. You can see illustratedobama.ai. Okay, so that's where I'm at right now. So, as you're working, you can see I've got a very, a pretty nice amount of layerings in here. So this is my background layer. Again, you control click to get an outline mode, which I don't have anything on there, so there is no outline. You can lock and unlock it. You can completely turn it off to turn it off. Basically, that's what all of these are right now. They are completely turned off, and then you have them turned back on. Again, this is control click. That's my outline mode where I can see my mesh again. Okay? So while we're in there, it is very important. So let me turn that guy off. Ignore those for now. I want you guys to go ahead down here and add a new layer. This layer is above there. You can see this one happens to be like a reddish pinkish color. And to get started, you have to take this person apart, okay? You have to say, what is the backmost thing that I can draw? In this case, I did the outline of his face. I will show that to you really quick. That one would be right here. I should rename them. So you can see that one I can rename, click, I can go ahead and get the face in there, okay? So how the heck did I do that? I'm going to Control Plus and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to come in with this pen tool. I'm going to go ahead and just start somewhere. I'm going to choose to start at the top corner of his head. That somewhere could be right here. Doesn't really matter, okay? So I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to go ahead and outline his face, but I notice there's almost like a little bit of a curve here of that color. I'm going to click and hold on that next one. When I click and hold and I drag outwards, that's how I get curves in there. There are other ways of doing it, but this is probably one of the easiest, most elegant ways. Now, I will also not be clicking like crazy down here. I don't click once every inch or once every half an inch. I don't want to do it because then my mesh will not work properly. I also want to make sure I have no fill. So reduce, again, I've got my fill color. This is the not sign for no fill. I don't want to see any fill. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click over here. I'm just going to do a straight up click. I am going to click at probably here because that's where the curve comes in and back out. I'm going to click and hold, drag that out, move this around until I'm happy with it. Click on the bottom. Same thing, but here I'm going to have some issues. I will fix that up later. This whole section right here I will fix up later. I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to click at the jawline. Again, move that handle out. I can go ahead and click right up here. Maybe I'll click right here. Up top, you see that curve is all wrong. I will fix that. And then you have to make sure you get back to your original. You see that little circle bubble pops up. I have now made a closed shape. Okay? At this stage, I'm going to go back to this direct select, the white arrow. I need to grab that anchor, and I'm going to grab the handles, and I'm going to manipulate them. Like this one, I slid back in to make it more shallow so I can get that side right there. This one, I'm going to do the same thing. Grab that handle, slide it in to get a little bit more information. Now, if I still don't like it, I can also add points on. If I'm like, oh, I can't stand it, I'm going to go to add a point. I can add one right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and edit. I'm going to pull that guy out. That gives me exactly what I need on that particular part of his face. I might put another one there in the future, but I don't want to take the time to do that. At this stage, we're ready for color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to move this path. Oh, I'm in isolation. If that happens, just hit the escape key. I'm going to zoom back out. I'm going to grab this path, and I'm going to move it. What is going on here? Hold on. I'm going to move it out of the way. Okay, so I've got his face, and I'm going to start coming in and adding my mesh tool. First of all, I'm going to eyedropper kind of a plain color, something that's an overall color for his face. And then I'm going to go in with this mesh tool right in the middle of his face, probably right across where his eyes would be, directly across from there, and then dead center. I'm going to add my first mesh on. Okay? I'm then going to start adding a few more meshes onto here, a few more lines to my grid in order to add more areas of value to give that look to his face like it has blended shading. I'm going to click one here. Now, if I click in the middle, it's going to give me a vertical and a horizontal. If I click along an edge, it will only give me the horizontal. If I click along this edge, it will only give me the vertical. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and just click where I know I'm going to want them. I'm going to probably put one more right through that middle, and I'm going to see where we go. I might add some on later. Okay? I need, and you may find it helpful to use, you see for direct selection tool, it's A on the keyboard. For my eyedropper tool, it's I on the keyboard. So if you're having trouble getting back and forth, you hate the whole idea of clicking, write those down. A for my selection, I for my eyedropper. So I'm going to go ahead on the direct select tool, and I'm going to start adding some shading in. You have to grab one of these anchor points. So I'm going to grab an anchor point. I'm going to hit the I on my keyboard, or I just grab my color. I'm going to add, and you can see it added a little bit of shading in there. Okay? You can eventually get more points at once, but if you are not feeling quite so elegant with this right now, you might not want to grab 10 points at one time. Okay? You can see I get that nice shading in there. Grab the next one. If you want to grab more than 1 point, you can click on one, hold the shift key, click on the next one. I'm going to move this over a little bit. Go that way. Shift, grab the next one. I held shift for all three of them. I can eyedropper that deeper tone, and you can see it pulls it in. You might say that makes it look like he's got a 5 o'clock shadow. I might pull that back a little. See, I'm trying different values. I like that one more. So again, that's exactly what you need to do to start on your face. So you've got your plain face. Now you can see in here, I'm going to call it face 2 because I already have one. I'm going to put that face back on. You can see on that same level, I have these little crevices in his face. I kind of put them on there. I didn't mean to put them on the same layer, but they're still workable. And I'm going to explain really quick how we're going to do those, okay? I'm going to grab a new layer. You're going to come in here. You're going to go to your regular pen tool, and I'm basically going to come in here. Click and hold to get a curve. Click and hold to get a curve. Now, if I don't make the rest of the shape, I can't use the mesh tool. So if you want to use the mesh tool, you have to close out the shape. How do I do that? I very simply just took and just made almost like I don't know, a parentheses, a big giant parentheses. Okay? So once that's in place, I can go ahead and I can move that guy where he belongs. How do I figure out where he belongs? Plain and simple, you guys. I layer the two together. I'll unlock this layer. I'll move it underneath. I can put it in outline mode and I align everything, etc. Okay? But for color, I'm going to grab this color. I'm going to make sure that that color is what fills in there. I'm going to get my gradient tool. I'm going to get myself a gradient. Let me get really close in here. Control plus to zoom. I'm going to make a gradient really close to that edge. And if I don't like it, if I want it to be closer, I can use my direct select tool. I can move that guy in. I'm going to move that guy in. I'm going to move this guy in. I click and I just hold it. And then what I'll do is I will grab a gradient point with my direct select tool. I'm going to grab that anchor point. I'm going to grab that one. I'm going to grab that one. Let me zoom back out. And then I'm going to eyedropper that darker value. Again, this takes a little bit of finesse. I'm not getting exactly what I want, and it's probably because of this weird curve in there. But you can see if I click off of it, you can see the starts of it. And that's how I would get that sort of a little line on the face. Perhaps that's an eyelid line. Perhaps that's a crease, a wrinkle, whatever that might be. Okay? So getting back, I would continue on that path. I would continue and I would go and let me get rid of these guys. I would come in here. You can see my ear. I'm going to just start turning these things on so you can see them. You can see I have, wrong ones. I have the face and I did the neck as a separate piece. It's all gradients. And if you think it's annoying to mess up the very first time you try a gradient, you need to get over that. You're going to mess up 10,000 times. Control Z is your friend. It undoes. You need to do that. So you can see I kept adding. So I've got a right ear, I've got a left ear. I'm terrible at renaming right now. I apologize. Please don't follow in my patterns there. I have the area under the right eye, which I'm still working on. I'm not really pleased with it. I've redone it like 10, 15 times. I'm still working on it. Get used to it. Your mistakes are what you learn from. If you say I make a mistake, I stink at this, I'm never going to do it again, you guys are not going to get any better with it. You need to be more patient with yourselves. You can see I made his eyes separately. I made his nose separately. I made his mouth separately. Check out that mouth. Let me go to that mouth layer. If I go ahead and select that. Oops. Sorry, I locked it, so I couldn't. So now you can see it. Again, my gradients are a little closer together in the center, so I can build up this darkness right in the middle, basically. So that's pretty much what I needed to do. I filled it with the skin color, and then I started adding those other values as per his original. Okay? So again, you are going to continue your way, building it piece by piece like you build a puzzle. But this is one of those like kindergarten puzzles, like not even kindergarten, preschool, baby puzzles with a different shape for each part of the face. It's not like a jigsaw puzzle where you can have the mouth on 25 different pieces. Nope. Build each separately, and if you don't like them all at once, build the upper lip on one layer and the lower lip on another. If that's what it takes for you guys to get these pieces put together properly. Okay? So again, please know you can remove, but I'm super proud of what's happening, what I'm seeing out there. Some of you just need to make sure you persevere in the eye of adversity. It's not working out well for you on that one. Don't get so frustrated to where you're closing yourself off to possibilities. You can see, look at his nose. It looks like it looks silly. But once you match that skin value right up in here, let me just do this. Once you match the skin value up in here, right in here, sorry, I'm trying to find something that I cannot get these to highlight for. But once you match the skin value, it doesn't look like that weird dress shape anymore. It flows. Okay? So again, let me just go over each of mine so you can see them. You can see the type of mesh I put on there. There's the face mesh. There's an eye mesh in here. Wait, we're locking on some of them. There's the eye mesh. It was a simple one. There's the nose. There's the left ear, his right. There's a lot of mesh on that. It has a lot of folds. There's his left ear, our right. His lips. His facial creases. His little, I don't know what this is called, frenulum. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think that's on the inside. And then his neck. Okay, I have the neck locked. There we go. Please lock and unlock layers so that you don't affect them. But make sure your layers are all separated. They're not nested underneath a previous one. If you're in isolation, that's what will happen. Good luck and happy illustrating.